In the spring of 1908, the esoteric societies of Europe and Russia are constantly talking about the imminent global catastrophe. In England, a member of the Golden Dawn Secret Society, the famous writer Arthur Conan Doyle, talked about this, but what exactly should happen, where and when is not clear. Something strange is happening in nature. Starting from March 26, unusual lights appear in the world. They are observed over North America and the Atlantic. Over Europe and Russia, huge ghostly figures, northern lights in places where they have never been seen. Baffled scientists, the ozone layer over Europe has been rapidly eroding since April. Newspapers write about glowing red-hot balls that are flying over Europe and Central Asia, over Siberia and China, rainbows in the absence of rain. Numerous halos around the sun, bright-colored dawns, incredible white nights for the south. Many people feel the approach of something terrible. Mad pitchers roam Europe. They predict the end of the world. Among sectarians, the number of suicides and ritual human victims is growing, and everything stops after terrifying explosion in the Siberian taiga. Sunny morning of June 30, 1908. In a vast and almost deserted area between the Yenisei and Lena, the local population, mostly Evenks, or as they were also called Tungus, go about their usual business. They fish and hunt, and suddenly, from somewhere above from the sky, there was a strange hissing whistle. Something huge was rushing across the sky, and then a blinding flash of light followed by several thunderclaps. The power of the explosion was enormous. If it had occurred over Moscow, the outbreak would have been seen in the Baltic states and in Ukraine. The ground trembled for hundreds of kilometers. Window panes flew away. Everyone was seized with an uncountable horror. Many decided that the end of the world had come. Only 19 years later, in 1927, Leningrad scientists, in particular meteorite specialist Leonid Kulik, discovered traces of a giant catastrophe in the taiga north of the Podkamenная Tunguska river. A huge area was littered with burned trees. Almost all the trees lay strictly radially with their tops from the center of the burn on the surviving trunks. They were talking about a monstrous flash that occurred somewhere in the center of the explosion. There was no doubt that the multi-ton meteorite fell here and will soon be found. But it was from this moment that the riddles began. Neither the crater from the fall nor the fragments of the celestial body could be found. The meteor hypothesis was falling apart before our eyes. It was suggested that maybe it was still not a meteorite, but a comet. That is, a comet, as the scientists now believe, is a mixture of ice blocks with cosmic dust. The comet warmed up from the friction of the air and exploded at an altitude of about 10 kilometers. That's why there is no crater. Trees felt by the shock wave from the air explosion, and the fragments that fell to the ground just melted away. Quite a plausible hypothesis, if not for one thing. An ice block is not able to fly hundreds of kilometers in the dense layers of the atmosphere. From overheating, it will certainly collapse at the beginning. Researchers interviewed more than 700 witnesses of the Tunguska event. There is a complete discrepancy in their testimony. Eyewitnesses pointed out completely different trajectories, east, west and south. They also described the cosmic body in different ways, a red-hot ball the size of the sun. A burning log, a snob, a broom or tailed star, and some even remembered a black ball from which sparks and fire arrows flew out. About 1,000 observations were counted, including 49 different shapes and geometries. The time of observation of this phenomenon also varies. Some saw it in the early morning, others in the evening, and others heard a crash after dinner. What does this mean? Let's think logically. We have witnesses who claim to have seen various objects of various shapes that were flying from different directions. Individual objects were sparks. What does this mean? In my opinion, we are seeing a collision of different types of UFOs that were fighting with someone. That is why it was not possible to detect any funnels or material. By the way, the abnormal nights mentioned at the beginning of the video stopped after 3 days. It's a pity that the events took place during such a difficult period of technology development. This didn't allow for large-scale research of the event. The war interrupted the research of Kulik, who died in 1942 after being captured by the Germans. In the post-war years, research was resumed only in the late 15th, early 16th. Half a century later, there also did not bring results in the form of meteorite material found. But the story is not over, and we have the opportunity to unravel this anomaly. Currently, there are more than 100 hypotheses, but everything can be questioned. I am still inclined to believe that the version with Presley most relevant. What do you think? Write your own review. Your opinion is important to me. That is all for today. Like and subscribe. Leave your opinion. I will be waiting for you.